Hello, everybody, and welcome to New Who Review. My name is Charlie, and I'm here with Connor.
Hello.
Hey, Connor. Today we're just going to be kind of talking about who we are and what we'd like to do for the podcast here. Maybe do a brief overview of Season 8 here with Peter Capaldi at the end. Um, so, yeah, Connor, why don't you tell us a bit about you and your Doctor Who experiences?
Yep. Hello, I'm Connor. I'll be quite familiar to some people around here because I've been on a bunch of shows before on the community, so I'm not completely new. But yeah, I became a Doctor Who fan nearly 10 years ago when Christopher Eccleston started the I'll call it reboot of the show in 2005 when obviously after it was axed in 1989 with the classics and it came back. So I started then. First episode was Rose on the day of its first transmission. So I never heard of Doctor Who before then, and I just turned it on BBC One, and I got really hooked on it. So I decided to continue watching it, and then I heard about the classic series before, so I started watching some of them in between each episode of the first series of the reboot. So I was kind of watching the classics and New Who side by side. So yeah, I started becoming familiar with all the Doctors. My first classic Doctor that I can remember was John Pertwee. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I started off with watching his. Uh, then obviously came Tom Baker and William Hartnell, who's now my second favourite Doctor. Um, so yeah, I started watching. I started watching New Who, as it's called now, and the classic side by side, and I've been a fan ever since. Uh, Favorite Doctor is probably Peter Capaldi because I just love his portrayal. It's reminds me of Hartnell an awful lot. So I like them too. I like them too, kind of equally. They're a step above the rest, I think, in my opinion. So yeah, basically that's it.
What was it about Eccleston and his stories that got you to watch?
It was the it was so different from everything else. Like, I've been like a fan of science fiction and fantasy and stuff before Doctor Who, like with Star Wars and everything like that. And it was like it's so different from like even that. It's like it's fun. It's got all these weird aliens and like you can let your imagination do anything with the show. It's like it's as much about the viewers as it is about the show, I think. And I just think that that's what's fantastic about Doctor Who. I just think it lets your imagination go wild, and it's got such a huge fan base, and it's such a popular show that it's just fantastic to be a part of that, a
I
part
agree.
of watching that. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. The only thing I'll say though is for me when I talk about New Who, I try not to use that word uh, reboot. I try to use the word continuation or
yeah,
restart.
yeah,
You know, a lot of people use that, and it's kind of a harsh word for Doctor Who for some people. I mean, it's all right if you use that, but uh, that for me, it's a restart.
yeah.
Um, as far as I go, I've been watching Doctor Who since the classic series. Um, my first Doctor was John Pertwee with his last season. A buddy of mine got me into it during grade school, and then this was about the time Tom Baker came onto our PBS stations here in America, and
Yeah.
I liked sci-fi before that, but I'd never seen Doctor Who, and I just loved it. Go over there on Sundays. Uh, on They'd have where like UK, you guys would get it in like half an hour slots. They would play like what would be called like a movie edition where you play all parts in one day.
An omnibus.
Yeah, an omnibus,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what we would get on Sundays for our Doctor Who. We'd get all four, six, or whatever number of parts in that hour and a half or whatever, and watch it all in one sitting,
Yeah.
uh, which was really good.
Yeah. I really like the classics actually, although they sometimes can be a bit long. Um, I think the fact that they're split into four parts and like when it's whoever was alive in that generation of when the classics were around between 63 and 89, it must have been um, suspenseful watching because you've got to wait another week to find out what happens next. And unlike nowadays where you just get 45 minutes straight episode and that's it, there's like no waiting time in between to see what happens next in that particular story. So it must have been fantastic to kind of like be a part of that and like just like see the story develop over weeks, but in between, like you've got to wait for the next part to happen, and it's yeah,
Right, and you can always see where the cliffhangers were. Even if we didn't get that break with the ending theme, not always, but you could always tell where there was like a cliffhanger from the episode.
yeah.
Great. What now with New Who? I know you started with Eccleston, and through that, how well do you think it compares with classic?
New Who as a whole, or Eccleston
As a whole,
as
not
a whole.
not so much individually.
Yeah,
As a whole,
I think it holds up pretty well. I mean, the things that the differences between New Who and Classic Who are actually not. I wouldn't say they're not that much because like you've obviously got the different like you've got the advancements in technology with the special effects and HD and it's all better quality sets because you can obviously afford to build it and it's not made up of like cardboard and gaffer tape like it might have been in the 60s, 70s and 80s. But there's obviously those minute details that have kind of got better with New Who. But other than that, I think that kind of like how to describe it. The essence of Doctor Who, the story has kind of stayed the same, which I think after what would have been an 18-year break, something like that, in between 89 and 2005, it
right? Yeah,
was quite impressive to even be able to keep that going in a small amount. So I think credit to Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson and all them lot for keeping the kind of the rhythm of Doctor Who and what it's about going, even after nearly 20 years of being off the air. So I think it's like, but if I
yeah,
had to like say which one I'd prefer, I'd probably say New Who because it's much more action packed. I mean, it's like, and it's better. The effects are brilliant and everything. So it's not like a massive amount of difference between, like in my opinion, like what I prefer. Because I really, really, really love the classics, and I'd always watch a classic if ever I could. But
right.
I just prefer New Who for the look of it and for the and stuff like that. It's
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really love the classics. New Who is great as well. The only thing, and you're right about like the effects and all that. But the only thing I'll say to that is sometimes like the practical effect, which is like the like a costume or things like that, uh, set design. Sometimes they can look better than even that you can get with like computer and these generated images that you can get now. I mean, granted they're great, but it's a lot of times I like the practical imagery and uh, that kind of thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
um, just I more than likely, since I grew up in that age where it was the classic, I tend to generate towards that because that's what I grew up watching, you know. So, but not to take anything away from New Who, because I love New Who. I've loved Eccleston all the way to the now Capaldi. Um, so both have great sentiment for me because it's the show that I love. So.
yeah, yeah. I can definitely see where you're coming from there.
So since we're in through New Who here, um, I know we've had to say that we had a bit of a bump in starting our podcast, but let's talk a bit about Peter Capaldi and his series right now. Um,
Yep.
were you able to did you see were you able to see Deep Breath in theaters, or did you not
No, I watched it on TV,
on the
or
tele?
on
Mm-hmm.
iPlayer, I should say, on live iPlayer. But
Uh,
I thought that that's probably one of the best like post regeneration stories I've seen. Like I really enjoyed it. It was so atmospheric. It was so um like I thought that the fact that it was set in Victorian London, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that I love them. I love the clockwork droids and the half-faced man. I thought that I thought it looked so. It just looked great, and the story was also well written. I just thought that Peter Capaldi just completely blew it out of the water. He was fantastic in his first story, and he wasn't even properly the Doctor yet, because obviously
right.
post regeneration haze, he kind of was all over the place, and I thought
Yeah.
that suddenly Jenna got some character development. She turned into this prickly, bit bitchy woman who kind of didn't trust the new Doctor, and I thought that it was we saw a bit of a turn in the series, and we saw it kind of go back to because no disrespect to Matt Smith, but I just kind of felt with Matt Smith that it got a bit too childish. It was a bit too um, comedic. It wasn't as dark as Doctor Who kind of should be as a sci-fi show. So I just thought that the sudden change in atmosphere in the show and the feel of the show was fantastic. So I love Deep Breath. I mean, yeah,
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, every time the Doctor changes, it's a hard transition. Um, so it took me a little bit to like Capaldi. Now, as of right now, I'm very much into Capaldi and love his Doctor. But when Deep Breath came in, and I got the chance to go to the theater here in my area, um, and it was great watching it on the cinema. Much like going to see Day of the Doctor, just great. Um, now, like I say, it took me a couple episodes to get into Capaldi. Not that I was hung up on Smith, or even like when Tennant left into Matt Smith, but sometimes you don't know how it's going to go for the new Doctor when he comes in. But yeah, like you said, Capaldi set it up really well for his Doctor, and I think he's really done well. The stories have been very good. You know, anyone can argue, you know, bits and points about certain episodes that, but the episodes have been better than we've had in recent past.
Yeah,
Um, so, I mean, I have no complaints there. You know, if the writing stays on top like it's been for him, you know, it's just great.
yeah, definitely agree with that.
So, um, so then for the season though, um, what's your take on the season as far as like setup and now obviously I said I very like the stories and stuff like that, but what about you? Like the setup of the stories and the way the season seems to be going. How are you taking it?
Um, like I'm quite enjoying the story arc. It's a bit like with the Nethersphere and with Missy and stuff, like that mystery of who she is. I think that we had that a bit with River Song. Uh, I mean, you could kind of see the two characters being pretty similar, but because like it's this heaven thing, and it's like when you die you go to heaven, and Cybermen and stuff being all linked to that heaven. Um, it just feels different from any story arc we've had before, and I think that in terms of like the series as a whole and like the setup of it, as you said, I just think that it's probably been one of the best seasons or series wherever you're from that I've ever seen of Doctor Who, and it's just made me completely fall in love with Capaldi's Doctor, Jenna, um, yeah, even in some cases Moffat, because I think that he gets an awful lot of criticism, but I actually think that he's pulled a very good series out the bag here. And we've still got a few more episodes to go. We're on well, this week will be week 10 of the series, episode 10, so out of 12. So we've still got a few more weeks to see where the series is going to go. So it's going to be interesting to see where it takes us, and I think that it can only get better now.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Missy and that. Do you think her setup has been good? Should they be doing more for her?
No, I think that they've plotted her so well. Like she hasn't been in every episode. She's not been the Nethersphere kind of has been mentioned in most episodes, but I don't think it's been mentioned in all the episodes. So the fact that we are getting those breathers from the story arc, and still it's leading into fantastic episodes, like for example with you got Robot of Sherwood, although the Promised Land or the Nethersphere, whatever you want to call it, was mentioned. Like we had that as a standalone. You had Listen, you know, uh, Time Heist and stuff like that. Although my thoughts on Time Heist aren't that great, I just think that kind of like the fact that you get those breathing spaces away from Missy and the Nethersphere, and which is the overarching story arc for the whole series, clearly. I just think that she's been well plotted out in every episode, and I think that we're obviously going to see a lot more of her now as we're edging closer to the end of the series. And she was in last week's episode, you know, and it got people questioning her because obviously of what she said in last week's episode about Clara. So you know, I just think that it's been well placed with her.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think I would have liked maybe a couple more spots in some of the episodes because there are some episodes she's not mentioned or if she's mentioned, it's mentioned by the Doctor, maybe in a pass, but or not even her, but the idea of her that they
Yeah.
don't know who
Yeah.
the lady in the shop is, or
Yeah, because he doesn't know what the Promised Land is. I mean, he said in Deep Breath, I remember, he said to the half-faced man that it's a superstition.
right.
And, you know, it's like it's a bit of a dream. So he doesn't know and like we kind of think of the Doctor, like when the Doctor doesn't know things, I think it makes the stories 10 times better. So when he finds out about the Nethersphere and what it is, and previously not knowing what it was, I think it's going to be interesting for Capaldi's Doctor. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's gonna be an interesting reveal when he comes face to face with that. I think,
yeah.
and how he goes to handle it. Um, all right, then let's go on. Let's do talk about a little bit about this upcoming episode, Forest of the Night.
Yep, In the Forest of the Night, written by Frank Cottrell Boyce, famous British children's author.
Now, I will say that I'm not familiar with a lot of the writers um, that come into Doctor Who because a lot of them are um, British writers, obviously.
Yeah,
But so I'm not too familiar with his work. Um, is he been basically a children's writer, or has he done other?
he's done things for young adults. I'm not absolutely sure if he's done things for adults, but he's written loads of films as well. I'm trying to remember some off the top of my head. 24, I think it was 24-hour People or something. Um, that he's written screenplays before for loads of films, and it's like
Okay, but
he
yeah,
wrote he's most famous for writing the opening ceremony for the Olympics in 2012. He
oh,
kind of
really?
Yeah, he wrote that. He wrote the general plan of it and what's going to go on in it, and
Oh,
that was such a brilliant event, that it kind of got him um famous a bit more. And he also is written sequels to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by Ian Fleming. He's delved into all sorts of um, things. So while he's not completely famous and probably known by everyone, I think that this is going to get him even more well known because it's Doctor Who. So
right.
yeah,
Now, for like young adult, that's we would say that's like what like uh,
teenagers.
Hunger Games type.
Yeah, Hunger Games,
Like,
Harry Potter.
books, right?
Yeah,
Um, Twilight.
Twilight,
Okay.
Divergent, City
And,
of Bones, stuff like that. Everything. Yeah,
all right, that gives me an idea of like what kind of mindset he goes for because that's, I mean, those have been great books. Um, say what you want about like the movies and stuff, but um, I have read Hunger Games and that, so I enjoyed those. Um, so that's great. I mean, I'm glad that they get a new crop of writers coming in from different points of writing. I mean, technically, from the start, Doctor Who's been a children's show of sorts. It's maybe turned into a you know young adult, mid adult type of show because of the uh, content and stuff. But it's
yeah.
still you know great.
Hmm. Like, and I'm quite excited for this episode because I admit I kind of haven't read any of his books, but I'm aware of who he is, and also that it kind of like when Doctor Who magazine came out last week and came out with the synopsis and the preview. It was the one that intrigued me the most about the Doctor being at a disadvantage. There's tigers in it. There's wolves. All these kind of like animals, and there's kids in it. It's basically based around Coal Hill Cadets. I think that's what it is. That's what I've heard. Which is Danny Pink's kind of because obviously he's a soldier, so or he was a soldier, I should say. It's kind of his kind of clan of people. He set up the Coal Hill Cadets for young kids. So it's
Right.
kind of we saw it in Into the Dalek right at the beginning. The Coal Hill Cadets, like what he was doing, and the kind of return here. So it'll be interesting to see, like, and we've obviously got some famous child actors here. One of the most notable being Harley Bird, who voiced Peppa Pig for all them years.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember reading she was in.
Yeah, she's the ginger-haired girl in the. If you look in the trailer and you see a ginger-haired girl with two plaits, that's her.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's quite the kind of. I think this is going to be a fun, playful episode, and I think that, but it's going to have like a bit of a dark undertone to it, and I just kind of think that this is going to be one of the best of Series 8.
The fact that they're using the kids a little more, I like it. I'm not against them having the kids in there because it's gone a long time without having like child actors in there.
Yeah, we last saw them in Nightmare in Silver with
Yeah.
Matt Smith in Series
Yeah.
7.
Which, and that episode, when they had kids, it wasn't very well received, was it?
No, it was. Well, the script wasn't originally supposed to be like it was. It was changed an awful lot, so it kind of got a bit lost in itself. But yeah, it wasn't well received, and I think that the child actors weren't done any justice, to be honest. So yeah, I'll be interested to see like how this varies from that, because I know that a lot of people are now saying that they kind of don't want to see kids in Doctor episodes as
Right.
main characters in a way. So it'll be interesting to see if this changes people's minds back to thinking, oh yeah, maybe kids in Doctor Who as main characters is quite a good idea. So yeah, hopefully it erases the bad memories of Nightmare in Silver.
Yeah, I think I remember reading someone that said it seemed like it was two Sarah Jane Adventures type of, you had the kids in there, and which I don't think was very fair, but I kind of saw because Sarah Jane Adventures was kind of kid orientated, being on the CBBC.
And there's nothing wrong with Sarah Jane Adventures. I mean,
No.
no,
I love.
yeah, I love Sarah Jane Adventures. So yeah, but I do agree. I think kind of like we need to, keep Sarah Jane Adventures kind of things with Sarah Jane Adventures, and keep Doctor Who things with Doctor Who. I mean, but although Sarah Jane Adventures is obviously not on anymore due to Elizabeth Sladen's death a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, I think, I kind of agree in a way.
Right.
I think it is a little harsh though. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agreed with the statement. I just thought it was a bit too over because they don't. It's not the same. I mean, the tone was different in her show than it is in Doctor Who. So.
Yeah.
All right then. Do you have any? Do you want to make any kind of closing statements for here?
Well, just keep looking out for more shows. I mean, this is going to be a regular series now. Every Wednesday, varying times. Yeah, so just like follow us on Google Plus, follow us on Twitter, follow us on subscribe on our YouTube. Yeah, and,
I'll be making sure to have all that in the description below on the YouTube page here.
Yeah, and if you want to link our individual Google Plus pages, you can as well.
All right.
Do mine if you want, and just yeah, we'll keep these shows going, and I hope that you kind of enjoyed this introduction, and we'll have more next week because we'll start having special guests on. I know that Charles has got some lined up for us. Oh, he's asked around and he's waiting for replies from some of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got loads of people in this community that we'd like to have on, and if you do want to be on, then just kind of like leave a comment or anything, and we'll see where we can fit you in. Obviously, we'll probably not have any more than one on a show at a time because it's kind of more manageable when it's one, and kind of like everybody gets a say. Like when it's like 6 or 7, it can kind of be a bit difficult. But
Yeah, it gets a bit muddled when you get more than even say 5 because
yeah,
it's hard to get everyone's opinion or but yeah, I mean if anyone would like to join in, comment below. Feel free to comment on the show or what you'd like if there's anything you'd like us to cover or what have you. We'd
yeah,
be
like
glad.
discussion points. I mean, we'll have like sometimes we'll just have shows where it's just reviews of DVDs, books, merchandise, anything to do with Doctor Who. But we'll also have like some shows where it's kind of like kind of just discussion points. Like if you ever want us to cover like villains or doctors or anything like specific subjects, just comment down below and we'll make sure to take a note of it and cover it whenever we get the chance. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank you, Connor, for joining me here today.
Thank you.
I want everyone to have a great day. Take care.
Yep. Bye bye.